How are you today?
I'm well. How are you?
Thank you for sitting with me and
Yeah.
discussing your projects and your first time here at WonderCon as well, right?
Totally,
So
yeah.
how's that feeling going so far?
Oh my gosh, it's so fun. So I was at San Diego Comic-Con last year.
Yes.
And I feel like this is my first WonderCon,
Uh-huh.
so I feel like it's like San Diego Comic-Con light.
Yeah.
I feel like I can
It's
breathe.
much calmer, right?
So much calmer. But yet, like I've seen some amazing costumes and cosplay, and so I
Yeah.
feel like all that same spirit is here.
Yeah.
It's just a little more. There's a little more breathing room.
Exactly, because you see with Comic-Con it's just so jam-packed, it's crowded, it's crazy,
Yeah.
so much going on, but here's such a lighter tone. It's nice.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people kind of prefer this to other cons as well, but
I totally
they're all
get
really
it.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, everyone is good in their own way, right? Like if you're in the mood for, it's like different flavors of ice cream. If you're in
Yeah.
the mood for like Rocky Road, go to Comic Con.
Uh-huh.
But if you want like just chocolate, maybe come to WonderCon.
Yes, I know. That's awesome. Well, from the work that you're doing right now, so you are a voice actor, right? So
Yeah.
you've worked with many different companies and networks so far. So can you just tell me more about your journey to it, like your experience, and what led you to working in this industry?
Absolutely. Ever since I was a little girl, I wanted to be an animator. I
Nice.
was really into cartoons and animation as a kid.
Did you have a favorite cartoon?
Oh yeah, Darkwing Duck.
Oh, nice.
Darkwing Duck and Gargoyles were my favorite shows. I was a big fan of the Disney Afternoon. And I studied art in college, but I found myself getting sidetracked by the theater department.
Yeah.
And I discovered that that method of storytelling was more interesting to me creatively than drawing was.
And drawing, gotcha. Okay.
And I did a bunch of theater on the East Coast before moving out to Los Angeles, where I started doing more film and television and voiceover.
Gotcha. Okay.
And so I feel like now working in voiceover for animation, it's this perfect marriage of my love of acting and my love of animation. So it's been a really cool journey and blending of all these different interests.
That's great. So how many years has it been so far that you've been doing
Oh
this?
goodness. I've been in LA for about 7 years now.
Okay, all situated. That's
Yeah,
good.
all situated, got my place where I get my oil change,
Uh-huh.
got my grocery stores.
Perfect. So, as far as, because I know within your background you identify yourself as an American Muslim.
Yeah.
And so, how within that, what would you like to see change, like now in the narratives of how Muslims are portrayed in the media and Hollywood and all of it in general? Because
Yes.
I know that's something that's really big and powerful nowadays, where a
Yes.
lot of people want to change that. So, what's your take on that?
I feel, as far as Muslim representation in the media and on television and in movies, I feel like in general things are improving for the better. I feel like for many years, most of the depictions you would see of Muslims and of Islam were associated with violence,
Yeah.
war.
Exactly. And it's still stuck on that too.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
And I feel like it's so dangerous when Muslims and Muslim countries are constantly being shown in the news media as dangerous, terrorism, and then you're seeing that reinforced in your popular culture. That's a no-win situation. Like, what about American Muslims who, you know, we have to almost fight to prove our
Identity.
averageness, or our identity as regular human beings in society who are not into warfare. Like, it's just, there's so much. I feel like Islam and Muslims has been boiled down in the West to be associated with very specific and confining definitions. And I feel like we have not been afforded the plurality of experience that other cultures and religious backgrounds
Exactly.
have.
Yeah.
And so my hope is, and it's moving in that direction,
Yes,
and my hope
eventually,
is
yeah.
that it continues to move in that direction where a character is a Muslim and it's not a comment, it's not a political plot line, it's not it's not necessarily a foreign character, it's just a character who happens to be Muslim.
Yeah. So that's it's great because people won't look like they won't look straight at, okay, they're Muslim, like they'll see them more as a person, seeing that everyone is the same, and
Right.
just having that narrative of just very violence based and all that, really it takes a toll.
Dehumanizes.
Exactly, it does. So when you were starting within this industry in voice animation, did you come across a lot of barriers that were hard to overcome, and how was that like in general?
That's a really great question as far as barriers in animation. I think one of the reasons, because I do on-camera work as well,
Gotcha.
but I
Okay.
think part of the reason I was drawn to animation is that this doesn't matter. It's what
The
this can
voice,
do.
yeah.
It's what you can sound like. It's what your instrument can do. And so you can disappear into many different types of roles that you would never be able to play on camera and play believably. I wouldn't say that being South Asian American was impeding me from getting any jobs, but I will say that the industry still is largely white. Not in terms of just the actors, but the people
Behind the scenes.
the showrunners,
Exactly.
the writing teams. I mean, it's changing. There's so
Producing,
many new
directing,
voices coming in, and voices that didn't have a seat at the table are now getting seats at the table, and that's fantastic. But for so many years, that was not the case. So I feel like I've been in a unique position, honestly, as a woman of color, coming into the field when studios are seeking diversity.
Yeah.
So it's
Now more than ever, too.
more than
right?
ever. It's a really exciting time to be brown in Hollywood, I say to people, because there's just so much changing, and what once might have been seen as a hindrance or as an anomaly is now, wow, that's an asset or that's a strength.
Got it. And that's a big deal too, because it's, we want to be able to showcase different voices, inclusion, diversity as a whole, so we can grow as a community and just make Hollywood where it can just become like one whole big family in a way, where it's so inclusive in many others. So as far as like your voice characters, you served on like Disney television animation, Nickelodeon, WB, and DreamWorks, right? So far, so what has been your favorite time, and what network was one of your most memorable times, or your favorite moments where you felt like, oh my god, this is my spot, this is my passion?
Can I say all of them?
Yeah. They're
For
great
two
networks.
different ways. They're all great networks, and they all, I will say, working on Young Justice really felt like coming home to a family. For so many reasons. One, the showrunners, Greg Wiseman and Brandon Vietti, do such a good job of, the show was on initially in 2010, 2011, and it had a huge fan following at that time. And then it went on hiatus for 7 years, and then it came back, especially due to the fans asking for more and petitioning for
That's
more.
the best,
organizing.
It's like the fans want what they want.
Right.
Yeah.
And so coming back into that, so they already were primed to create that so exciting environment of like, we're coming back, you're part of the family. And I personally have always loved Greg's shows. I was a huge fan of Gargoyles, which he worked on at Disney. And so
like your childhood dream, right?
Yes, it was a childhood dream come true to work with Greg. So I loved that experience of working on Young Justice. DreamWorks is such a fantastic company to work for too. They have such fantastic content coming out on Netflix. So many different programs for streaming. I was lucky to be able to play on Voltron Legendary Defender and Trolls. And I'm working on some other stuff for them that I can't talk about yet, but
spoilers, everyone.
Sign my NDAs. But they're a fantastic environment, producing really content that feels very cutting edge and addresses the issues of today. And I mean, Nickelodeon is just—it's like a party every time you go in to Nickelodeon. Like the building there's like a SpongeBob wall.
That never dies down. I love SpongeBob.
Oh yeah, totally.
So, like how you mentioned now, Young Justice will be premiering its second season, in July?
So it's premiering the second half of its third season.
Gotcha, third season, gotcha. Sorry about that.
No worries.
So what can you tease for fans about the third season of Young Justice that you're, not too spoilery, of course, but just something that people can really get excited about for the new season?
Well, if you haven't seen the first half of season 3 yet, it's fantastic. I play a character, Halo, who visibly presents as a Middle Eastern teenage girl who wears a hijab.
Cool, that's awesome.
And as the season unfolds, as this first half of the season has unfolded, you learn that there's a lot going on with her. No spoilers. And to see a character like that visually, who is wearing something that represents Islamic culture,
Mm-hmm.
and to have it the way they handle it in the show too, I think is really well done. As a Muslim woman myself,
Gotcha.
though even though I don't wear a hijab, I feel like, you know, there's no such thing as perfect representation for any group. It would be impossible to, because there's so many different
Layers and all that. Yeah.
layers, and being a Muslim woman means something different to each Muslim woman.
Exactly.
But I think that they do some good stuff with Halo that is very respectful and very, it's a positive image of a Muslim character.
Gotcha.
So that's super
so exciting.
cool.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Especially for like little girls and like people that are growing up in this age now, just to get that representation that's positive, not negative. Exactly.
Totally. I often will say that, like, when I was a little girl, I didn't see anybody who looked like me on TV.
Same here. Yeah. Like for viewers, also, I'm a Muslim woman too. I wear the hijab too, and it's just just to see that representation authentically shown on TV, in cartoon, and any animation, just it really puts a smile on our faces.
Right, and no spoilers, but there are so many other shows that are having Muslim female characters. I mean, one that comes to mind is Ms. Marvel Kamala Khan on Avengers Assemble for Marvel, and there's a couple other characters I'm playing coming out on other shows where it's just so exciting to see this kind of avalanche of creators saying, okay, we have to bring more faces and more voices to the table and more authenticity, and it's just trickling, and I can't wait to see what the next 5 to 10 years look like in terms of that. Me too. It's a totally different ballgame for little girls now than it was for you and I.
Exactly. Now they're going to be coming into a whole new world where they can see that on screen and have that confidence. So that's it's a big deal for a lot of people in general. So
representation matters.
Representation does matter. I always try to preach that everywhere I go. But thank you, Zehra. It's been really great. For fans, just get ready for Young Justice.
Yes.
Coming up in July, season 3.
Yes.
And we look forward to a lot. So we're all looking forward to this new season and more of your projects to come in the future.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.